Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe wherever you are watching this. Of course, we're building up now to the Champions League final on Saturday. The first part of my two-part discussion with Dan McCarthy I released earlier today, so go and check that out if you haven't. We focused a lot on transfers, Lukaku, Sancho, Rice, but also the future of some other players in the current first team squad. And the second part of my discussion with Dan will be out tomorrow, where we're going into the tactics of Saturday's Champions League final. But in today's news video, of course, I've got to react to these Eden Hazard rumours. Everyone is, and just giving you my thoughts on the situation. And of course, lots of people are feeling very positive or excited about it, or feeling that it could happen or it shouldn't happen, and we shouldn't bring sentiment into the situation and all of that good stuff. Even Willian wants a Chelsea return, but I don't think there should be too much time spent on that, because I think that's a bit of a silly story. But I do want to spend a bit of time speaking about Declan Rice. Matt Law's big piece at the weekend stating that Thomas Tuchel has revived Chelsea's interest in the West Ham midfielder. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also, do me a favour by hitting that like button, because it helps out the channel as well. Also want to say a massive thank you to Lucid FC once again for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. You can follow Lucid at Lucid FC on Instagram and Twitter. You can get this Film Club sweatshirt that I love wearing in the description box, and you can use my discount code CFC at checkout for $15 or £12 off. So link in the description box below to go to Lucid FC. And on Lucid FC, I'm going to keep on saying this in all the videos this week, the giveaway for the exclusive limited edition Son of Chelsea and Lucid FC shirt giveaway we're doing, announcing the winner on June the 3rd. Get involved. As you can see on screen now, the ways to get involved, I'll leave, of course, all the info in the description box below too, of how you can get involved in this giveaway. But pretty simple. Like this video, subscribe to Son of Chelsea. You have to be subscribed to the channel to enter the giveaway, and also comment. You can comment up to 5 times to get involved and win that shirt of any size next week. So make sure you get involved in the giveaway, and thank you Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. So Eden Hazard, apparently Real Madrid are willing to listen to offers for Eden this summer. That comes from Sky Sports and several reports coming out of Spain as well. Not that surprising given the struggles of Eden Hazard and given how mental Real Madrid are. This is something, if you're watching my post Real Madrid second leg Let's Talk Chelsea, where we covered all the media reaction to Eden, of course, smiling and laughing with, I think it was Mendy and Zuma, wasn't it, post that game, and all the mental reaction over in Spain because of it, and all the noise constantly around Real Madrid. I mean, we think the noise around Chelsea can be a bit silly at times, but it goes to another level with Real Madrid. I also suggest on this topic surrounding Eden Hazard, and if he was to leave, sort of the type of character he is, one of the best pieces I've read about any football related topic this year was by Jonathan Lew in The Guardian, and it was about Eden Hazard and the type of character he is, and sort of how culturally he doesn't really suit the super serious win at all costs Real Madrid. And this is sort of my feeling going into Eden Hazard's future. If he was to leave his dream club, this was his dream move, he wanted it to happen, and I'm sure he's still desperate for it to work out. But let's say in a scenario this summer or next summer he wants to move on, I think he needs to go somewhere that isn't super serious. And Chelsea is still that club. You know, Chelsea will be competing for top titles, as we always are. You know, I think he needs to go to a more laid back club, or at least somewhere, maybe back in France, you know, maybe go back to Lille, you know, where he made his career in before moving to Chelsea. Go back to a place he feels more settled, where the fans really appreciate him. Of course, he's adored at Stamford Bridge and always will be. But I'm just saying, in terms of this point of his career, with the injury struggles he has, you know, I think he'd want to go somewhere maybe where he can just relax a little bit, you know, because he doesn't. And that's always been the interesting dynamic with Eden when he was at Chelsea, and all the stories about him. He's such a laid back, nice guy, and he's not the sort of super serious athlete Ronaldo or Messi are, you know, at the top elite, sort of intense athletes. And maybe that's what's held Eden back to get to those even better levels. I mean, he was absolutely astonishing at Chelsea. Trust me, if Eden Hazard tomorrow came out and said, I'm going to Chelsea in the summer, I'm returning to Stamford Bridge, I think the overwhelming reaction would be of excitement and positivity, a bit like when Didier came back in 2014-15. Because he's beloved here, he would be. I mean, watching Eden Hazard play football was an absolute privilege, and there are still times I miss seeing Eden play football in a Chelsea shirt, because he was that good. But there is an appreciation with all the injury struggles and issues he's had with his fitness that he's not the same level. And I still do think, and this very much ties in very quickly to Willian, I think I'm a believer that I think players do have their time, and I think I like having the idea that a player moves on and you just accept what their career was. You do get rare circumstances where Didier comes back, has one season, wins the Premier League title, and that was very positive, a very nice sort of short sequel, short sort of addition to his outstanding Chelsea career. But in the main, I don't think it would work out that well, and I'd rather focus our energy and funds on new players, younger players to bring into the current squad. And I think that's sort of my general point. I know some people were being like really adamant and really angry about this, being like, oh, no sentiment, but come on, man, you'd want to see Eden Hazard back in a Chelsea shirt, but I personally just don't think it's realistic. I don't think it would happen. For Eden's own sake, I think he'd probably be best suited going somewhere else, as I say, maybe back to France, maybe back to a lesser club, a club who isn't competing every single year for the title, or maybe just maybe go to America and chill there. I don't know what would be best for Eden Hazard considering where he sits in his career because of all of the injury struggles, but I do think that Real Madrid situation has become very toxic, and we saw what happened with Gareth Bale returning to Spurs this season. So maybe the impossible could happen. Eden Hazard could be back in a Chelsea shirt sooner rather than later. Let me know your opinions on Eden Hazard and a potential homecoming for him at Stamford Bridge in the comments below. But I've obviously touched on Willian as well. There isn't much to say about that. I mean, he may want to come back to Stamford Bridge, but I expect that rumour to be shot down pretty quickly. And once again, I don't think he should be coming back because he's had his time at Chelsea. He had a nice end to his Chelsea career. It's time to move on. One player though, and this is very much an episode of potential players returning to Chelsea, but one I do think should be returning to Chelsea, I think is much more realistic, even though I think it would be a very big deal, is Declan Rice. A name that I think for many months now we felt since Tuchel arrived after Lampard would be sort of shot down and we move on. But Matt Law reporting in the Telegraph on Saturday, Chelsea have revived their interest in 90 million Declan Rice and could use Tammy Abraham as part of a deal. Former head coach Frank Lampard made Rice one of his top targets last summer, but Chelsea would not meet West Ham's asking price of around £70 million, which is likely to have now risen to at least 90 million. But Telegraph Sport understands that Tuchel has become a fan of Rice himself and will include the 22-year-old in the players he recommends to director Marina Granovskaya. Should Rice once again be deemed too expensive, then Monaco's Aurelien Tchouameni and Julian Weigl, who Tuchel worked with at Borussia Dortmund and who now plays for Benfica, could be cheaper alternatives for Chelsea. Matt Law also brings up the possibility of Chelsea offering Abraham as part of a bid to sign Rice, and they will also be looking to offload another player Moyes likes, midfielder Ross Barkley. This is top priority. I mean, apart from a striker, I've said this continuously, it's striker and CDM. Those are the two key positions Chelsea need to strengthen this summer. And I spoke about Tchouameni last week, how much I rate the guy. I think he is a very exciting prospect and I think would be an upgrade. I think would give an improvement to our midfield area, something we do lack, a natural DM in this squad. But Rice is, if we can get Rice, if it can happen, and maybe putting Tammy Abraham in the deal could lower that fee. And we remember Ben Chilwell last summer. I mean, all the talk about Ben Chilwell, how ridiculous that fee sounded at first. Marina brought it down to about 40 to 50, eventually 50 million, wasn't it? Because of Leicester missing out on Champions League football, which has happened once again. Of course, West Ham have European football this season, but they don't have Champions League football. But then maybe, as I was speaking with Dan McCarthy, go and check that out because we did spend a little bit of time speaking about Declan Rice and that whole situation. He feels, it is still going to be maybe a little bit unlikely this summer, or at least, it is a stretch for it to happen given the amount of money that we'd need to pay to get Rice probably. But he's the perfect player for me in terms of what we require in that position. For his age, 22 years old, he has been amazing. Him and Souček have formed such a good partnership as a pivot this season, the centre of their midfield. The strength, the power, the end product too from those two players. I mean, this is something Chelsea lack from central midfield. We lack goals, we lack creativity, and both those players add that. I mean, Rice scored a really good goal at the weekend in West Ham's final Premier League game of the season. He's got so much power, he's got so much ability. There's a reason Pep Guardiola rates this guy and has flagged this guy up as a potential signing for Man City, because it's not only about his ability to read the game, to be a proper defensive midfielder, to make those key interceptions, it's also his passing ability, really crisp passing that has only got better, and the amount of first team football he's played at Premier League level over a number of years now makes him such a suitable candidate. And on top of all of that, this is a guy that wants to return to Chelsea. I think it's become pretty clear that he'd love to return to the club he was once at, and there's no resentment there. It could be a deal that could happen because it'd be quite easy, I think, to bring Rice himself along to Chelsea. It's all about, of course, that fee itself, negotiating with West Ham. So that's one part of the deal that really helps Chelsea. And of course, we know the great relationship he has with Mason Mount, the chemistry he could bring to the first team. With more English players in the first team now, you think about Reece James as well, and Ben Chilwell too. So there's Chelsea, if we were to sign Declan Rice, could start next season with 4 players who start for England in the first team too. So that chemistry I think is a big thing as well. And I just think it's not only just about the fact that he could have chemistry with players on our first team. He is just exceptional, and I think the doubts you could have around Tchouaméni adapting to a new league, I think there's a lot of us who agree that Chelsea need to try and sign ready-made players this summer if we want to be serious title contenders again, if we want to get out of the slump for Champions League football. And I've watched this team enough now. I spoke extensively in my review on Sunday about the issue of central midfield, Kovacic and Jorginho, and sort of how we need to upgrade on that, I think it opens so many more doors for Tuchel, and why I think he wants a DM, because if he is going to change formation next season, moving to, say, a back four, more expansive formation, you need more protection in that midfield, or you need someone who you don't have to structure your whole game around, which is the problem currently I think Tuchel finds himself in with the midfield, especially when N'Golo Kante isn't playing. So for me, Declan Rice, and I think offering Abraham, if that could happen, I think that's the best for everyone really, because Abraham, I think, should be leaving this summer for his own good, and I think that they may want a striker, and I think Tammy could do really well at West Ham, and if we could sign Declan Rice, then incredible business it really is. I think it's a deal absolutely worth doing that I think could not only benefit Chelsea next season for the long term, given his age, it's a long term investment as well that would radically improve our midfield for next season, bring so much power, I think, end product too, and what Chelsea have seriously lacked since we let Nemanja Matic go in 2017. So that's my opinion on Declan Rice. Let me know yours in the comments below. Also on Tchouaméni as a potential second option, and Julian Weigl, that's a new name being linked with Chelsea. Of course, Tuchel has a relationship with Weigl in the past. Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.